Fight briefing is back. Mwah, Yeah. UFC 249 has officially, actually just UFC has officially returned, guys. Let me get, where am I here? I gotta get in frame. What kind of professionalism is this? All right, guys. The UFC is coming back and Fight Briefing is back. Welcome to another episode of Fight Briefing. Whew, man.
Wonderful.
Fight Briefing is back. The UFC is coming back. We have 3 events going on this week. So we've got UFC 249 on this Saturday. And then Wednesday, we have a fight night. And then the following Saturday, we have a fight night. So we have 3 fight briefings coming up, guys. So the fight briefing for UFC 249 is tonight, and then we'll do another one on Tuesday next week around the same time, and another one on Thursday next week. So make sure you guys put that in your schedule. Make sure you hit the notification bell. Make sure you're live for that. Also, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to our sponsor over there, ESPN Plus. If you guys are looking to watch the fights this weekend, especially the pay-per-view, ESPN Plus is where it's at. They actually offer different packages, one of which is only $4.99 a month. The simplest package. You can get ESPN Plus. You can watch all your favorite sports. You can rerun sports, rerun fights or episodes or whatever it is you want to watch. But you can also watch sports live for as little as $4.99 a month. Or you can get the bundle package, $12.99 a month, where you can actually get ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Disney Plus. So a lot of different options there. So make sure you guys hit the link in the description below and you can do that. But most importantly, guys, the UFC is back. The UFC is back. Justin Gaethje, Tony Ferguson. It was supposed to be Tony Ferguson versus Khabib for UFC 249, but unfortunately Khabib went to Russia because he thought, well, according to the UFC, he thought that the fights would be taking place in Abu Dhabi. They're not. And he ended up getting stuck there. Apparently there was the no travel restriction, travel ban, whatever you want to call it. And he got stuck in Russia. So what's the next best thing? Justin Gaethje. Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje. Against all odds, guys, it looks like UFC 249 is actually going ahead. Everyone keep your fingers crossed that it stays that way. The lineup looks nothing like one that was originally planned, that they had originally put out. But nonetheless, the card is still fire. So let's go through the card real quick. I'm going to go through the main card tonight. Starting off with Greg Hardy versus Yorgan de Castro. Immediately a fire fight. Greg Hardy is one to watch. Ever since he came in on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series, guys, this guy has been incredible. There have been some obstacles, I guess you could say, that he's had to overcome when it comes to cheating or his cardio not being up to par like we thought it was. But overall, he's a freaking awesome knockout artist. Yorgan de Castro, same thing. Guy came in on a Contender Series. Phenomenal fighter. He's only fought once, but Jesus Christ, it's going to be fun. Jeremy Stephens versus Calvin Kattar is the second fight. Another fire fight. You have 2 completely strong, completely heavy hitters in this fight. And after Jeremy Stephens' run with Yair Rodriguez just recently, it kind of adds a little bit to the entertainment factor in this fight. Francis Ngannou versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. I love this fight for a million reasons, one of which is because I love both these guys. Francis Ngannou I've loved since the very beginning. Jairzinho Rozenstruik, he just came into the game. We met his brother at the Barclays Center for the Nate Diaz, the BMF fight. And awesome dude. This guy's got tremendous power, and I can't wait to talk about him. The co-main event, Henry Cejudo versus Dominick Cruz. There's a million reasons why you guys should be entertained, but one of the main ones should be the fact that this is a title fight. And I honestly didn't think that they were going to put this on the same card as the Tony Ferguson fight, but I'm so glad they did. when they said that they were changing up the card, because this, listen, I'll be honest and say that in the very beginning, I was not a fan of Dominick Cruz getting the title shot, but I've come around. I understand it now, and there's a lot I want to talk about here. And then you got your main event, Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje, which I absolutely love. I wish it was Khabib, because we all wanted to see Khabib. It was like the 5th time they tried to put together. That fight is definitely cursed. There's no doubt in my mind. But regardless, Justin Gaethje still makes for a fire fight against Tony Ferguson. So I'm friggin' stoked, guys. I am so excited for the card this weekend. So excited that I actually want to just get right into it. So let me just move it over here. Let me see who's in the chat while I pull something up here real quick. Aiden Oliveris in the chat says, OMG, I'm going to be hyped. I think let's hear the battle cries in the chat. UFC 249, let's go!
Wonderful.
All right, I think that's enough of that. All right, guys. Texas Veteran, what's up? Flat Earth Deacon, Hemi, Fuel, Rockwell, Gang, Sasquatch, Matt Stone, Heavy Microgrow, everyone dropping the Oz in the chat. Kelly Van Hughes, Drunk Savage, Two Joints, Manny C, Corona Bona. Wow, there's a lot of people in the chat tonight. All right, let me just get right to it then. How about that? Let me just get right to it. Greg Hardy versus Yorgan Castro. Like I said, I like this fight for a million reasons. It was weird. Greg Hardy coming into the UFC, I was already interested immediately, because knowing that he was a former NFL player and then his background with... pandemic. Hold on, guys. Racist Chrome.
I got all the Peckerwoods.
You got all the Peckerwoods. All right, everyone keep that in mind. Make note that Racist Chrome has all the Peckerwoods. Thank you, Racist Chrome. Knowing Hardy's background and stuff like that, I always found it fascinating. Him coming into the UFC. I thought what was more fascinating was the fact that he was getting co-main events. He was getting main card spots as a newbie, pretty much. A guy who did not have that much training in MMA. He was not very profound overall. But the UFC was like, hey, money, let's do it. And in a way it worked, but in a way it didn't. Right now, you can argue it's still working. I think Yorgan Castro is a good opponent for him, because Yorgan Castro is a knockout artist as well. But the difference is Yorgan Castro has only had one UFC fight, pretty much. Well, we've only seen him in the UFC once thus far. He KO'd Justin Tafa in a pretty rough fashion, but that's pretty much all we've really gotten to see of him, unless you've gone back and watched some of his previous work. Hardy is not like he's the greatest fighter yet, particularly when it comes to his cardio. We all saw when he was in one of his recent fights, he did the inhaler gate, which he was gassing out pretty bad. And in fact, he's gassed out in a few of his fights. And that one, he said that the ref told him it was okay, or the cornerman or the commission or someone told him it was okay. And he took a big puff of that inhaler, and turns out that was illegal. So that's always something to look out for. So I think that makes it a little more entertaining to see him fight this weekend. Hardy is a super heavy hitter. He does have that knockout power. It's everything that he needs is there except for the gas tank. So the only reason I would say, assuming that we do see a firefight here.
Shopping during a pandemic.
Oh, my mouse froze. Hold on. Racist Chrome again.
Two guys who were in special ed in high school are fighting each other. Okay.
Two guys who were in special ed in high school are fighting each other. I'm assuming Hardy and Yorgan Castro. Thank you, Racist Chrome. I would say that Greg Hardy has all the advantages in this fight, given that he's stronger, he's bigger. I would argue his knockout power might be a little bit, like a tiny bit more than Yorgan Castro. But where I kind of give De Castro this upper hand, I guess you could call it, is if you guys remember the Greg Hardy versus Ben Sassoli fight. Ben Sassoli was a smaller fighter with lesser, if that's even a thing, athleticism. And Hardy, you could argue, had a higher athleticism factor. De Castro's the same way. He is a smaller fighter compared to Hardy, and his athleticism is not as up to par as Hardy. And I know a lot of people are going to go Hardy in this fight, but I decided to go De Castro. I really feel that De Castro has the ability to kind of maybe outpoint Hardy a little bit here. And if that's the case, he can take it all 3 rounds. And if that's the case, I wouldn't say that Hardy's going to get knocked out, but I certainly think De Castro can take it all 3 rounds. So I'm going to go unanimous decision in favor of De Castro, round 3. Let me know who you guys have in the chat. Whoa, what happened to the sounds there? All right, me too, Jesse says Ann H. Inhaler Hardy for the win, says Alex Lovell. Texas says Jean Paul, my fellow Texan. Aiden says, I think Yorgan knocks him out. So you're saying Greg Hardy doesn't have a chin. Oh, my mouse froze. What the fuck is going on with the mouse? What's going on here? All right. Kelly Van Hughes says Hardy is average with slightly more power than his last opponent. As he moves up, he gets slept. I would love to see that happen. Remco says, I'm squirting right now. Good for you, man. How's that feel? Iranian says JBH. 2 joints says Hardy. Hardy is winning. Hope Hardy gets belted, says Sean Hart. Dustin Jr. says Greg Hardy showed fight IQ against Volkov. Castro is a brawler who was losing to Justin Tafa, and yes, he's 6-0, but he has not impressed me. I think Greg Hardy gets the decision by fighting on the outside. Well, there you have it, guys. All right. So that's my pick for the first fight. Let's move on to the second fight here. We have Jeremy Stephens versus Calvin Kattar. And like I said, this fight is a firefight for a couple different reasons, but mainly because these are 2 predominantly high-level strikers. Now, Stephens may very well be one of the harder hitters that Kattar has faced so far in the UFC, but I wouldn't really say that that's all it takes for him to beat Kattar. I wouldn't give Stephens the whole fight simply because he's not that subtle himself. We've sort of seen him outstruck by fighters in the past. He's also fallen victim to some pretty harsh leg kicks, which we know Kattar is good at. Kattar isn't really known for his grappling. He is predominantly a striker. He hits extremely hard. He's got a lot of that oomph behind his fist. He's super fast, very technical. The only problem I really see with him in this particular fight is that he's not too spontaneous on the feet. You kind of just know what to expect from him. Kattar does prefer to use those leg kicks, as I had previously mentioned. So I think right before he lands some of those major strikes, that's probably what we're going to see. Kattar's probably going to work the legs a little bit on Stephens, but I wouldn't turn down the fact that Stephens does have some pretty lethal leg kicks of his own. So I think this is going to be a pretty stand-up fight. I think this is going to be a situation where they're going to constantly be exchanging those strikes, but definitely working on the legs. But overall, this fight is likely going to come down.
During a pandemic.
Racist Chrome.
Jeremy, I'm the hardest hitter but have the most losses in UFC history, Stephens.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Racist Chrome. Appreciate it. My mouse keeps freezing up, so you guys are going to have to bear with me when I change scenes here. I appreciate it, Racist Chrome. Thank you so much. All right. What was I going to say? That this fight is going to come down to who can hit the hardest first, pretty much. Given that Kattar hasn't really taken as much damage as Jeremy Stephens has throughout his career, which Chrome has just addressed, it is easy to lean in favor of Kattar. Kattar is still more in his prime, where you could argue that Stephens is more likely on the tail end of his prime. So I'm pretty confident here that Kattar can outpoint Stephens, but I'm going to take it a step further, and I'm even going to say that Stephens gets knocked out. I think Stephens' chin might be vulnerable in this fight, and I think Kattar can definitely find it. So I'm going to go Kattar, TKO, round 3. Let me know who you guys have in the chat. Mason Jackson says, who the fuck is that guy?
Who the fuck is that guy?
My girl's still hiding the TP, bro, says Sun Green. Aiden says, I'd say Kattar by unanimous decision. Jean-Paul says, might? Fix your fucking likes. What's wrong with my likes? My likes are fantastic. See, look. Oh, boom, bang. Bing, bang, boom. Motherfucker. I agree with JBH. KO round 2. I think I put. D. Brown says, I think Jeremy Stephens is going to kick out Boston Boy's legs, though. Yeah, listen, like I said, they both have that kick power, right? We've seen them both have some pretty lethal leg kicks, and I believe that Kattar's definitely going to go for the legs. I would not be surprised to see Stephens do the exact same thing, given that they both have strengths in about the same areas. Kattar for the win by decision. I'm hungry. Likes not accurate. What? My likes aren't accurate. Man, I'll fix it for you right now. Hold on. Allow me, because I take the time out for you guys. I'm just waiting for it to load, to be quite honest. Jeremy doesn't have a problem with leg kicks. Kattar hasn't checked one in his entire career. Here we go. I think I fixed him. Oh, but now I didn't. Hold on. Here, I'll play some music for you guys. Ready? That's not really fitting music. But... dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Look at that. Just fixed them, bitches. Better?
Wonderful, wonderful.
All right, now you can stop complaining. All right. Chris is so full of himself that he's quoting me in the chat. All right, guys. Francis Ngannou versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik is the third fight on the main card. Man, I don't know how Chris does it with this fucking mouse, man. This thing's shite. He needs a new mouse. Everyone put new mouse for Chris in the chat. All right. I said that this was one of my favorite fights because I like both fighters. If this were a striking match, it'd be a pretty tough one to call. In fact, I have to admit, this is probably one of every time, man. The rest.
UN Moss meet Rozenstruik's brother TMSG, not the Barclay Center.
Oh, MSG,
I was there,
my bad.
did you forget?
Yeah, my bad. MSG. Listen, I'm not too profound on where we are in New York, so I just kind of go along with it. Thank you, D-Rest. I had a tough time calling this fight because I tried to make it as unbiased as possible, given that I like both of them. It was a little easier not to lean in one way or the other, but the problem is they're both excellent strikers. They're both heavy hitters. They have that knockout power. We've seen them knock out before. And I just feel that their level is very top tier. Jairzinho Rozenstruik actually completely shocked the heavyweight division. I'm telling you as I fix my legs, don't mind me. And I feel because he recently debuted last February, he has single-handedly knocked out 4 of his opponents since then. With as much promise as Rozenstruik has shown in just the first year, I'm still a little worried about whether or not he really has that power needed against someone like Ngannou. Ngannou is a veteran of the game, and a lot of times people say, go with the veteran. But I can argue that there have been times that the veteran was the one that fell short. And I want to go with the veteran here. It's really no question at all that Ngannou hits as hard.
A pandemic.
Pastor Chrome.
Hello all my fellow Christians, Pastor Chromost in here. I just want to talk to you today about the Lord. He is a good God. So good that he sent his only son to die for us, so we could enjoy all the big booty hoes walking these streets.
All right.
Lord, we thank you.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Chrome. Everyone, I hope you drop the amen in the chat. Ngannou can pretty much take out anyone with a big shot. He's also not the most technical striker, but with the amount of power that he has behind his fists, I don't think that really matters.
During a pandemic.
Alex Lovell.
I got the black guy for the win.
You're so ridiculous. Oh, God. Who has the black guy for the win? Let me know. Out of these two. Who has the black guy for the win? Okay, let me focus here. Let me get back on track. I feel that given that Ngannou has proven himself and Rozenstruik, you could take the 4 knockouts and say, yeah, he's proven himself. I don't feel that way. I believe he has potential and he's definitely going to be a title contender. There's no doubt in my mind. But at this point in his career, it's clear that Ngannou is definitely more proven. He's also a little bit more of an unpredictable fighter, Ngannou. Rozenstruik, or Strike, you can kind of assume where he's going to go in a fight. Ngannou knows exactly what he's going to do and when, but more often than not, his opponents don't. And that can be the most dangerous aspect about him. So bottom line for this fight, I believe that Ngannou would be smart to pull from that success that Overeem had with Rozenstruik on the ground and look to kind of replicate that game plan. Considering that this fight will be over in 3 rounds compared to a 5-round fight that Rozenstruik had with Overeem. There's more of a chance, I believe, that Ngannou will be able to kind of outwork Rozenstruik without eating that one big shot, or perhaps even submit him, and that's going to give Ngannou a little bit more of an advantage here. So I went with Ngannou. I went by unanimous decision because I really don't see a finish in 3 rounds. If this was a 5-round fight, I could imagine there's a finish. In 3 rounds, I say this goes the distance because you've got 2 extremely tough opponents here who can take a lot of damage and can throw a lot of damage. So I went unanimous decision Ngannou. Let me know who you guys have in the chat. Boss Coker says Rozenstruik has like 1 million kickboxing matches. Roberto Lopez says, I think Ngannou has better movement and accuracy, but I bet this is going to be the worst fight on the card. You know, Roberto brings up a good point. Let me know in the chat. Is this going to be the worst fight on the card? Yes or no? Ngannou versus Rozenstruik. I would love to know what you guys think.
Shopping during a pandemic.
Chrome, do you know?
Jesse, who do you think has the bigger BBC? Fight brief that shit.
I believe Rozenstruik has the bigger BBC because he has bigger hands. So, and I know this for a fact. So, Rozenstruik. Who do you think has the bigger BBC? Let me know in the chat. Is this going to be the worst fight on the card or not? I don't think so. I feel that ever since Francis Ngannou versus Derek Lewis, everyone got this sour taste in their mouth about Ngannou, but you forget that he can be one of the most entertaining fights on a card. And for us to argue that this is going to be the worst fight, I don't think so. I think, if anything, we have potential for Greg Hardy to be the worst fight on the card because we've seen him gas out before and the fight was just sluggish. It was sluggish. If you look at the Ben Sassoli fight before the knockout, it's a sluggish fight, right? So I would argue the Greg Hardy to Castro fight might be less entertaining than this one. I don't think this one's going to be as bad, honestly. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. She knows Rozenstruik has the largest BBC. Fact. Francis Ngannou KO round 2. Francis round 1, says Jean Paul. Drunk Savage says Boss Man. Remco says the Karate Hottie versus that other bitch is going to be the worst fight. No, on the main card. JBH Mark texted me when I told him about yesterday's topic. He says he would have fought for free and wanted to be acknowledged as the greatest wrestler in the world. And no, it won't be the worst. I agree with you, Justin. Rozenstruik turns to eat punches. Perhaps he might savor the flavor of the predator, says D. Brown. Roberto says, well, I am hoping to Castro murks Hardy. Listen, I think a lot of people are there with you, especially after Inhaler Gate, right? So you might not be the only one here. All right, guys, the co-main event of the evening. I love that this is a title fight. I love that they put together this fight of all fights because when they told us originally what the original card was going to be, it was supposed to have Cowboy and Pettis and them on the card.
Shopping during a pandemic.
Chrome to your dome.
I think Mighty Mouse has a bigger piece than both these niggers.
I think you're right. I think you might be right. All right. When they said they were originally going to change around the order of the card and that some people were going to go on to the preliminaries like Cowboy and Karate Hottie was supposed to be on the main card originally as well. I don't know. I was nervous that the co-main event was not going to be up to par for something like a Ferguson Gaethje main event, right? And the fact that they kept Henry Cejudo, Dominick Cruz for the co-main event was exciting for me, simply because I feel that someone's going to take Henry's belt. I just feel it. Like, he's not going to hold on to it for long. But I don't know if I feel that way about this fight in particular, and I'll tell you why. In all honesty, it's actually hard to look past Cejudo simply because of the amount of time that Cruz has spent on the shelf. Now, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of arguments in the chat. Dominick Cruz has been on 2 long layoffs, actually, and he's come back and he's dominated both of them, and that is true. He has. But I've decided to give you guys a little bit of a breakdown I found here. He lost 35 months of his career between October 2011 and September 2014 due to various injuries. He then spent another 16 months out before returning in January 2016. Both occasions, he came back. He looked fantastic, absolutely. But this time, he has been gone for an insane 40 months. He is now 35 years old, likely past his athletic prime. If anything, he appeared to be slowing down in his last fight, which was a loss to Cody Garbrandt. So I'm just saying, guys, I know that, he's been on a layoff before. He can come back. He can do it. I don't think so. We must remember as well that Cejudo was an Olympic gold medalist in freestyle wrestling. And we know Cruz can wrestle. He can hold his own. There's no doubt that Cejudo will be by far the greatest wrestler that Cruz has ever faced. And I think a lot of people are looking at, like, say, the Uriah Faber fight as well. The second one, Faber was trying to go for the takedowns and stuff like that. And Cruz, he had a great wrestling game there. But no, he's never fought a wrestler like Cejudo. Not once. Cruz's wrestling is actually probably the most underrated facet of his game. But I believe that Cejudo will be on an entirely new level. So it's hard to outrule the fact that Cejudo is going to win this fight. And I tried everything I could to be like, you know what? Cejudo is going to get his belt taken from him. Cruz might actually have what it takes. He's going to come back. He's going to wow everybody. And if he does, my jaw will drop during that fight. I guarantee it. I just don't think it's going to happen in this one. I think this fight is much more lopsided than a lot of people are really seeing. I can understand if you are Team Cruz here, especially if you want to see him stick it to Cejudo in a way because of Cejudo's whole cringe game. You want to see that slap in the face. It's totally understandable, especially after such a long layoff with Cruz. But quite honestly, I don't think that's happening. This is a very one-sided fight, and I believe...
Shopping during a pandemic.
Chrome.
Gotta be honest, I don't care about this fight.
No!
Kind of hoping the Jumbotron collapses on top of them.
Wow. Chrome. How many people don't care about this fight? I believe it's a very one-sided fight, guys. I do feel that the UFC has did this on purpose. Quite honestly, I'm taking Cejudo via second round TKO. I don't know if a lot of people are going to agree with me or not. But I believe Cejudo, if it's not a TKO, he's going to take him out through his wrestling. That's going to be, it's a no-brainer here. If this goes to the decision, I wouldn't be surprised. But I don't expect it. I fully expect Cejudo to take the second round TKO. Let me know who you guys have in the chat. Brendan says, there's no way Cruz will take Cejudo's belt. Really doubt it. I agree, man. Chris Loring says, Cruz, ha. The great Yash says, Jess is right. It's a one-sided fight for Cruz. You tried to get me there. Triple cringe round 3 TKO, unfortunately. Cruz never been finished by KO, says Ruben. Aiden says, I'd say Cruz by decision. He still might have the skills. Flat Earth Deacon says, yep, Tex, say who do fo show. Who do fo show. Consider it said. Let's see. Fluffy Head Henry for sure. Cruz ain't no bitch. Cejudo for the win via dry hump. Cejudo will retain and retire Cruz. Cruz for the win by decision. Papa King says if Cruz wins, he is the GOAT. Going with Cruz N9. Cruz 9 this one. Says Shannon Stewart. Let's see. Mason Jackson says just subscribe. Love the content. Thanks, Mason. Hope to see you around. Hit that notification bell. We're gonna be live. You know what I just noticed? Look at this shit. I changed one like. Sorry, man. We're going to be live on Saturday and tomorrow as well. Look at this. My likes are gone now because I changed the other ones. Can you fucking believe this shit, man? Can you believe this? Can you believe it? Let me see if I can fix this real quick. What a shame. What a shame. Here we go. I think I got it. All right. Here we go. Much better. Okay. Let's move on. All right, guys. The final fight. The main event. Are you ready for the main event of Saturday night's evening? Can I get a in the chat, please? All right, guys. The main event. Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje. Get the odds in the chat.
Wonderful.
All right, guys. Firstly, for the argument of Ferguson, Obviously, he's won his last 12 fights. A lot of people are, using that. I've actually been on Twitter a lot lately. And I've noticed a lot of the, 12 fight win streak, 12 fight this, 12 fight that. I get it. You got to use whatever you can get, right? He's obviously beat some incredibly tough opponents. You've got RDA, Cowboy, even Anthony Pettis at the time. He's equally dangerous on the feet and on the ground. When he's on the ground, we can see that he can manipulate any position that he wants. He's got two major strengths that come to mind for this fight for me. One, he can take a shot with incredible damage and still manage to keep himself going. And two, he has the cardio of a freaking cheetah out there. He doesn't really run low on a gas tank. And when he does start to look a little tired, he still fucking barges through like it's nothing. Essentially, if Gaethje is allowed to stalk and walk his opponent down, he's got a far better chance of landing a kill shot, but he's going to have a tough time against someone like Tony Ferguson. Gaethje normally favors the right, as we've seen, but he does like to go in headstrong. Sometimes he doesn't really protect his head too much. Over the last 3 fights, we've seen him improve a little bit on that. But overall, he's like a bull in a china shop, if you ask me. However, I feel that we might see a little more groundwork from Gaethje in this fight than we're used to. Whether that's because Ferguson wants to work on the ground or because Gaethje wants to work on the ground, that's a whole other story. But let's not forget that Gaethje is a phenomenal wrestler. He just doesn't use it in his fights enough for us to remember that or to keep that in mind. Now, one thing I did want to point out is if an opponent can turn the tables on him, like Ferguson, Gaethje can become far less dangerous. And as with many fighters, that happens. But for Gaethje, he's certainly going to have to look out for something like that. Gaethje's cardio is solid, but he has been known to tire out, something that we have not really seen in Ferguson too much. Now, I wouldn't really count out Gaethje quite yet in this fight. He does hit incredibly hard. The guy has bombs behind his fists. There's even some arguments that I've seen that he is arguably the hardest hitter in the lightweight division. Now, whether you agree with that or don't, that's up to you. But I do believe Ferguson has a pretty solid chin. But we've said that about some relatively tough fighters in the past. And even with them, they got knocked out. I don't know if that's going to be the case on Saturday night, but I certainly wouldn't rule out the possibility that Gaethje might have the power to knock out Tony Ferguson. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying the opportunity is there.
Shopping during a pandemic.
MMA.
Let's just stop for a second and realize that after almost 2 months we got our sports back.
That's right, man.
Thank God, and thanks to Moss and JBH for helping to keep us sane during all this. Oh yeah, one last thing, Tony taps Gaethje then taps Chicken Khabib.
So thank you, MMA-Hole. Fun fact about this name here, MMA-Hole. Now this could be one of two people. This could be one of three people. This could be Drunk Savage, this could be Gary Banjo Sandwich, or this could be the guy that made the post on Twitter, who I can't remember his name. He said that who's going to be the first one to name their kid Emma, May, and then their last name, whatever, so that their name stands for MMA. And I said, I will do this. So, it's Drunk. Yeah, I said, I will do this. So if we have a girl, it's going to be Emma May, but it's going to sound like MMA. That's what our child's name's going to be. Thank you, Drunk, for the donation. All right, guys, let me get back to the bottom line of this fight real quick. Ferguson versus Gaethje. Given that Ferguson has gone through a lot of shit mentally over the last half a year and a half, however long it's been, I feel we're going to see a different version of him this Saturday that we haven't really seen yet. Maybe someone who's not the same crazy El Kukui that we're used to. I believe that him being on medications and going through treatments or therapy or whatever it is has maybe boggled his mind a little bit, and it's not going to be the same kind of Tony Ferguson that we're used to. Is that going to affect his performance? I believe so, but I could be wrong. Hopefully I'm not, because that's not who I picked. Also, Ferguson spent a lot of time in 2018 rehabbing a serious knee injury. So, I mean, that's a huge thing. It was a pretty bad injury as well. So my prediction for this fight, guys, I say Gaethje, who has some of the best leg kicks in the game, goes for the surgically repaired knee, injures Fergie, throws him off his game, and then boom, Gaethje comes in with that heavy right and whatcha, knockout. So I'm going to go Gaethje by TKO in the third round. Let me know who you guys have in the chat. All right. Mason Jackson says Xanax takes Tony Ferguson to feel better mentally. Texas says Ann. Drunk Savage, nope. Luke says Fook, no. Papa King says I feel bad for Justin. I don't know, says Jean Paul. Jake Rupp says I don't know who wins and don't care who wins, but this fight will be insane. I agree, man. D. Mula says JBH Mossman, do you think Tony has better cardio and wrestling than Khabib? See, you can't ask me that question because I'm a huge Khabib fan. Huge Khabib fan. So I would give you a biased opinion. I would obviously say that Khabib has the better wrestling. But if you ask Moss, he is not biased in that question. So when he comes back tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern time for Fukoff Friday, make sure you guys tune in. You can ask him that question and he can give you a fair answer. Or I think he might be in the chat or something. Maybe he can give you a fair answer now. All right. Ozzy Cat Moss does not want the grandchild to be named after the show. Darren Parker says Blades and Shades. Papa King says I want Khabib versus Tony, so Tony BS win. Fantastic pick, JBH. I picked the same, but fourth. All right. Texas Veteran says Justin Gaethje TKO round 1. Let's go. If I win, $1,000 donation. Oh man, I hope you do. I got him in the third, but I feel like, here's the thing. I feel like with the first round, it's really pushing it because I don't ever want to underestimate what Tony Ferguson has. That guy is packing a lot of power. He packs a lot of durability. I feel first round, and I knock on wood for you, Texas. I hope that you get it. But I feel first round is just too quick. It's a little too quick. I hope you get it. But I believe we hit somewhere between third and fourth round is when we're going to start seeing that power from Gaethje fall through. Should Tony Ferguson not already take him out in the beginning rounds. But, all right, guys. That's pretty much it for Fight Briefing. I have thoroughly enjoyed spending my time with you guys. If you'd like, I can open up the phone lines for a couple minutes. But if not, I'll just bid you a farewell. And tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern time, we're doing Fukoff Friday. Make sure your notifications are on so that you can tune in for that. We're going to be doing the points game, and we're going to be talking about UFC 249 then. And yeah, we got 249 this weekend. I see some phones in the tab. I don't see enough. I see one from Justin. And that's it. All right, guys, I'm going to shut it down. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you for joining me. And as always, don't be an a-hole, be an MMA hole.